はい、バイリンガルコーチのチコです。この日はニュージーランドの幼稚園に突撃訪問して、なんとインタビューをさせてもらうことになりました。こちらのインタビューから、ニュージーランドの子どもの個性を尊重した教育の真髄を垣間見ることができました。それではインタビューの模様をどうぞ。
I'm putting it.
Oh, thank you. Do I look okay? You do look fabulous. Can I have a sit here and then like maybe 5 minutes would be fine probably for the interview? Thank you.
So here in New Zealand, there are different. So this is a kindergarten.
Yep.
It is publicly funded, so by the government, and it's different to a private daycare that are privately owned. So the private daycares take children from 0 to 6, and they stay open sometimes from 7:30 up to 5:36 for working parents. At kindergarten, it was traditionally just 3 to 6-year-olds, but now we're taking 2-year-olds, which is quite a little bit challenging in this environment because it's not structured, and kindergarten is very play orientated, so free play for the children, no structure to the day, no come and sit on the mat, come and do this, come and do that. It's just play. We believe children need to play, and they eat when they want to. No lunchtime, morning tea, nothing. They just when they feel hungry, because toddlers like to graze.
Right.
Yeah.
It's more like instinct based.
Yeah. So that's the main differences there. And then in New Zealand, you're allowed to go to school when you turn 5. And traditionally, it is, like me, I went to school on my 5th birthday. That's what happens.
So no graduation ceremonies or like.
It depends. Yes, from leaving here, we have a little graduation ceremony from going to school. But it's changing a little bit because the children are changing, society is changing. They're allowed legally to stay here until they're 6. And a lot of parents are deferring, waiting until they're 6 or closer to 6 because they're finding the children aren't quite ready. And I think that's a bit of a society thing.
Oh, I see. So they want to make sure, they will be old enough to go to the next step.
Yeah, so anytime between 5 and 6. But when they're 6, then they cannot be here. They have to go to school.
Oh, I see. So I want to ask about ethnic diversity. As you know, Japanese culture society is more homogeneous. But how does it, the mixture goes here?
So New Zealand has become so multicultural. It's unbelievable.
Even here?
Even here. So here in Thames, we have a large population of Indian. A lot of Māori, obviously.
Yep.
And we're just starting to. A lot of in Auckland. A lot of Pacific Islanders. Not so much here. A few. Yeah, we had some Tongans, big Tongan presence recently, but they've all gone to school.
Okay.
Not so many Asians. Only really, especially Japanese if they come on. Exchange for 3 weeks or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you find any difficulties or any consideration to make them everybody feel comfortable in different situations or different backgrounds?
It depends a lot on language.
Right.
Yeah. So for the children, children can play. Doesn't matter if they speak the same language.
Right.
It's not necessary.
Right.
I've taken my children when they were 3 and 4 and travelled around the world, and in every country we went to, they played. No language required. But for adults, obviously, and for children to let us know what their needs are, we find ourselves, for those who can't speak English, we find ourselves using the tools like Google Translate, looking up some of the words and making cards, and just a non-verbal communication to begin with until they start to learn English.
So there are some parents who cannot speak perfect English, right?
Yeah. There's always at least one parent out of the 2 who's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about religious aspect? Do you have to take it into consideration?
Really, I'm just trying to. Not really, unless you have some Jehovah's Witness who don't celebrate Christmas or birthdays. I think that's about the only one. Otherwise, we celebrate other cultures, not so much religion, but their traditions. So Diwali and Chinese New Year and all that. You know, we try to celebrate their culture within the centre.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and it also makes the other children aware.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
There
So-
are different cultures.
Yeah, so not so much religion, but definitely culture.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to know, like, what is your philosophy? Like, you know, what is your ideal child, you know, image that you have?
So that's an interesting question. We don't have an ideal image of the child. What we like to do is find out where the child comes from. We call it their whakapapa, their history. So,
Is it Maori language?
yeah. So their whakapapa is like their genealogy, like where did their parents and their grandparents and their ancestors come from? What gifts is the child bringing? You know, what does the parent want for the child? So we don't have an ideal image of the child. We want the parents to tell us what they want for their child, and then we work together with the family to make the child the best that they can be. Not in our eyes.
That's so different from Japanese ones.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's so cool.
So I'm going to guess that in Japan it's very academic.
Yep.
Yeah. So very early age, reading, writing.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's interesting. And there's many cultures around the world where that's important.
Right.
Because especially if it's a poor, not so much Japan, but like, so I lived in Africa for 20 years. Those poorer countries and India, education means knowledge, means better job,
Right.
means more money, means better life. So there is in our curriculum, we do have an early childhood curriculum, and one of, you know, we do, so here we teach social skills, and we want to teach children the limits of and boundaries of acceptable behaviour, how to work alongside others, how to work by themselves, respect, all, you know, all that kind of thing, but not like you have to know your ABCs and count to 10. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So not so much like reading and writing even before, you know, going to school. But how do kids learn, like, before the school?
So it's our belief that they're not ready to learn. Some children are, but a lot are not.
Okay.
And then that's we don't believe that we should prepare them for school. We think schools should prepare to receive these children, and then they start their academic learning journey. Yeah, we think that they benefit from learning through play, talking to each other, respecting each other, peaceful negotiation skills, listening, taking turns, you know, all of that. And they learn basic fine motor skills, gross motor skills. That's going to set them up for school. So this is kindergarten philosophy, very different to early childhood philosophy, probably.
Okay. A lot of like outdoor play, you know,
Yes.
time.
Yes.
And I think I would expect here too.
Yes.
What kind of idea does that support this?
New Zealand is a very outdoor country. So we have a lot of exchange students in our home, and from high school, and even like, so the ones from Germany, and even they are amazed that there's so much out of class stuff, adventure stuff, swimming, kayaking, tramping, skiing, like
Even for them? Wow.
when they get older, that's high school. In primary school, there's a lot of outdoor sports and even swimming, and just because we think it's good to be outdoors.
I love that.
Yeah, and be active.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I think that's something personally, I think that's something missing in Japanese education. It's more like, you know, study-based and study-based, which is kind of sad, you know. Yeah.
You need a little bit of both.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
And this is something like they can only do when they, you know, they can only feel through play, you know, when they grow little, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah. Are they happy?
So like they don't really have the chance to have that opportunity to speak up. So they're not used to talking about their feelings or emotions or like, you know,
That's
opinions.
So important.
It is important, right? Yeah. I want to know, like, you know, students, for like how many classes are there, and like class size or like, you know, ratio kind of thing. Yeah.
So ratio is worked out by the size of the premises. So here we are licensed for 40 children. At the moment we have about 30, which is pretty good. And then that determines the number of teachers. The ratio legally is 1 to 10, which is not good, and the teachers are lobbying for better ratios.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we have been for quite a few years, and the government's promising
Yep.
it to change the ratios.
More teachers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but that's so for under twos, which we don't have here. The ratio is 1 to 5, and for over twos, the ratio is 1 to 10.
Okay.
Because the behaviour of the children is changing. We're having a lot more challenging behaviours, a lot more, maybe alcohol babies, drug babies, like a lot of those social issues starting to come through, and we need more teachers to support the children who need one-on-one attention.
Yeah, especially like you're thinking about like individualism, right? So like you need to focus on like all the students, right?
Yes.
As a teacher, like I'm also a teacher, and so
in early childhood or primary?
Both. Like I'm a private teacher too.
Okay.
So I'm teaching like from adults to young
Yes.
kids
Okay,
too.
cool.
So as a teacher, I was wondering like if you have like a specific goals like for each student, how would you deal with it? Like in that kind of ratio.
So most of the parents, our goals generally for the students are their parents' aspirations, and most of the aspirations are for them to play nicely, learn how to take turns, respect others, all of that kind of social stuff. For the children who have developmental needs like autism or any other kind of diverse need, then we do get an extra teacher, maybe for like 1.5 hours a day. And that's when we have time to work on their specific individual needs, which might be more specific, like learning how to use the toilet or learning how to play with someone else because they have autism that's not natural. Those kind of things, language. We get an extra teacher for a very small amount of time for that. But the rest of it, you just have to choose
Oh, I see.
not so busy moments. So it's hard sometimes. Ratio is okay, but it's not quality. I don't think it's quality.
はい、ということでインタビューいかがだったでしょうか。子どもたち一人一人の持っているものを大切にしながら社会で生きていくためのソーシャルスキルを身につけるという教育が印象的でした。そしてこのインタビューの後、驚きの出来事が、なんと帰ろうとしている私たちを止めてカリキュラムが載った本をプレゼントしてくれたんです。本当にありがとうございました。